Welcome to the Healthpreneur Podcast. My name is Yuri, New York Times bestselling author, former professional athlete, and founder of Healthpreneur, the world's leading company helping health and fitness experts start and scale high-end coaching businesses. If you want to attract more clients, learn how to convert them without feeling salesy, and deliver an amazing program for them on the back end, if you want to be inspired by what others just like you have gone through and how you can do the same no matter what life throws your way, then you are in the right place, because every single week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're going to be bringing you the best to help you take your knowledge and expertise to the next level with your health or fitness coaching business. And if you enjoy what you see and hear and would like to take your business to the next level, then I invite you to check out our free online training over at healthpreneurgroup.com/training. And for now, let's get into today's episode. Hey guys, welcome to the show. Yuri here. I'm excited to have another special guest with us. Patrick Willis is on the line with us, and he is over in the UK, as you'll obviously get to see by his awesome accent.
Hello.
As you guys know, I've got no context for what we're about to talk about. So Patrick, can you fill us in with who you are, what you do, and then we'll jump into how we can serve you over the next 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah, that sounds really good, Yuri. Thanks for that. And again, thanks for the opportunity to speak together and work together a little bit. Absolutely. So essentially, my background, I was a kind of techie, geeky nerd, ended up being a business executive and got super tired of the kind of corporate drone rat race stuff and started my own business. And I had coaching skills, I could do that, and started doing some of this. And then a couple of years ago now, I suddenly realized that there was a passion I started chasing I hadn't known about before. And that is, I'm supporting people who've kind of like walked out the doctor's office with a terminal diagnosis, and I help them make them best of the rest of their life. That's what I'm doing. So I'm pretty new to this. I'm a business I've not long started and just building up now. But I fill in the gaps in my knowledge. I'm a good coach, but I've been volunteering in hospices, things like that, to understand specific needs of people in those kind of places. And now I'm building from there.
Good for you. So what do you need help with most? Like what if we could, I got a little fly flying around here. If we could really get clarity on maybe one thing over the next 20 minutes, like what would that one thing be for you?
Okay. Well, I'm pretty happy that when I get on a call with people that I can sign them up. I know if I get the right person who somebody needs my help, and I get on a call with them, they can work with me one-on-one or in a group if that's the right thing for them to do. But I have not quite completely sussed how to get the right people on a call with me. So yeah, I've done a bit of ad on Facebook. I've been in certain groups and so forth. And again, trust is an issue. I think people go, who's this guy? Or what's he trying to sell me? So for me, I think my biggest gap is working out the best place to kind of reach out to my tribe and my ideal client.
Perfect. Yeah, it's probably the most common challenge that we come up against is, I know who I want to serve. How do I get more of them into my world, right? So it really becomes an attraction problem or an attraction challenge. I'm just going to share my screen here with you.
Please do, yeah.
And we can just draw some stuff out. So just to lay a bit of a framework, we've got, in any business, there are three major pillars. And I'll just short form them. So we have attract, convert, and deliver. So that when you have a client on the phone or a potential client, you can most likely enroll them if they're a good fit. And once they're in with you, you can deliver some amazing results for them, right?
Yeah.
Most people, most coaches are very much like that. Like they know they can deliver awesome stuff. And that's really important because that gives you the confidence to have that conversation with them in the first place. So what we need to figure out here is we need to look at, okay, how do we attract people in the first place? How do we get people knowing about you and what it is you can do for them? The conversion piece is the next piece, which obviously you feel pretty comfortable around. So if it's okay with you, we'll kind of just maybe direct our attention on the attraction piece over the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what have you done, just so I have a bit of background on this, what have you done to get in front of potential clients up to right now?
So I've done a little bit of, I mean, essentially, the clients I've got have been mainly word of mouth now. Again, it's a old coach story, and that's not scalable. We all kind of know that. So yeah, I have been looking a bit on some Facebook groups where people are dealing with things like terminal illness and life-threatening cancer and so forth. So I've been looking organically in there, but that's been a challenge because people are a little bit suspicious of what you're doing if you're doing anything other than just directly contributing to the group, which I've been doing as well.
Yeah.
I have been running some very small scale Facebook ads, but I wasn't really willing to scale those up until I could see conversions off them, essentially. So I've seen a very small sliver of opt-ins, but nothing that's converting at scale into something that looks like it becomes affordable, if that makes sense.
Sure. So really quickly, walk me through what that looks like. So they go from a Facebook ad to where?
So yeah, they go to a Facebook ad, and then I send them to an opt-in page. And on my opt-in page, I've got a lead magnet, which is kind of 4 things you can do right now to drop your anchor and find your feet. Imagine you just have walked out of the doctor's office with this diagnosis you just weren't expecting. So, and that's available on there. Should you sign up for the lead magnet, then you'll be in my email list, and I will nurture you and invite you onto a call. But also on the back of the opt-in form, there is an immediate saying, "Hey, thanks for signing up. If you wanted to speak to me now, you could sign here and book in my calendar if you wanted to." No one has done that so far. But on the thank you page, there is a possibility of signing up there. So that's essentially what it looks like at the moment. So I have a smallish list that have opted in through that mechanism, and I've sent them some nurturing emails. But as of yet, no one has come back through that funnel to book a call.
Okay, awesome. Do you know roughly what the conversion percentage is from the Facebook ad to people opting in for the lead magnets?
From the Facebook ad to the it's pretty low. Yeah, it's around about 5%, I think.
Okay. And then right now you've had 0% take the phone call on the thank you page?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Like I say, like marketing is really, it's really math and psychology, right? So once you understand the metrics, that's a great place to start, because then you can reverse engineer to make things a bit better. So, what I think would be really helpful to focus on, instead of talking about, a different funnel, pipeline, whatever, like just using what you already have and making it a little bit better, if that's cool.
Yeah, so, definitely up for that.
So when we look at, all right, so we go back up here, we look at attract, convert, deliver. Now, one of the biggest pieces that most people don't recognize is, everyone wants more traffic, right? They want more traffic to their website, to their offer, et cetera. And so that's really the attract side of things. But in order to attract as many people as you want, you have to have the conversion side dialed in.
Yeah.
Right? And the conversion side is not just the phone call. It's how do you get people from the Facebook ad to actually convert to opt in for the lead magnet. And then from the lead magnet, how do you get them to convert over here? So each stage of your pipeline is going to have an ask, right? Opt in, call me, book a time, et cetera. And every ask inherently has a conversion mechanism there. So when we look at what it takes to improve conversions, I have something I call the triad of influence.
Okay.
And what this does is, again, 3 circles. There's 3 pieces that are really important. Number 1 is we have our market, we have our message, and we have our magic. You mentioned that, getting people to book a call with you or opt in or even, enroll with you who don't even know you, there's obviously a bit of a trust issue in some cases, right?
Yeah.
So the key is like market, message, magic. When you have those dialed in, that's how you start making more money, enrolling clients, and really serving those clients. But one of the things that's interesting is when you look at the market and the message, this interesting little crossover point here, this is the opportunity to build what I call KLT. And that's know, like, and trust. And what that means is when you put a message in front of the right market, that market is going to say to themselves, wow, this person really understands me. They know exactly what I'm going through. And when you can describe what people are going through, or they feel more understood by you, that is how you build trust with an audience. So the messaging is really important in making sure that it's obviously going to the right market. Now, the second component here is the magic that you introduce into the market. Now, the magic is your offer, for the lack of a better term. So your lead magnet is your magic, okay? And what we need to do with our magic is we need to introduce some type of novelty. So when we have magic that is introduced into a marketplace, for it to really work, it needs to be somewhat novel, different than what people have seen before. Otherwise, they just browse on, right?
Yeah.
And then the third component, when we look at when you have a message that contains that magic, what that does is it builds desire. Because what you've done here is you've put a message in front of a market, and that message is saying, if you're this type of person, here's exactly what you're going through. And they're like, holy cow, how'd you know that? And by the way, I've figured out this really cool solution for you. What that does is it builds a desire for them to want to have that thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally makes sense, yeah.
So if you were to look at market, message, and magic, based on what you know of this right now and based on what you've seen perform in your business, which of these three do you think probably needs the most help right now?
That's an excellent question, which I've been pondering on for the last couple of minutes as you've been talking. I think it's the message, because essentially I know the magic I can bring. I know the difference I can make. I know the impact I can bring. I know what the market looks like, and I know I've got some ideas where they hang out. I'm sure there's other places to hang out and find better. But to me, I think the messaging is the bit that probably isn't on point and needs some work to do that. The novelty, in a way, this kind of worries me, because people aren't doing this very much. Yeah, you get life coaches that will deal with anybody, or therapists that will help people who have been, terminal or whatever. But as a kind of niche, there's not many people kind of doing exactly this. So the novelty, it's kind of scary and maybe a problem in itself. But it's the message that's tying together those two things about the getting the trust and also building the desire that I think is where the gap is.
Cool. Awesome. So here's the tricky thing about this is that these three pillars all have to work in unison. It's very much like if you were to open the face of a watch and you have the dials inside, if one of these dials was not working, the watch doesn't work. So it's really important that each of these three are all working in unison. And each one of these three have three activators, or I call them client activators, within each of them. So now you've got 9 activators that even if one of them isn't working properly, it's almost like walking 8 dogs in one direction with one dog pulling the opposite direction.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So let's look at these individually really quickly and look at where some of the opportunities might lie. Under market, the first thing we have to look at is single target market seeking a solution now. So I think you've clarified who that market is, right? So I guess my follow-up question, are these individuals consciously seeking a solution now to their dilemma?
Well, I think a lot of them don't even think there is a solution. So they are problem aware as opposed to solution aware.
Okay, so at least they're aware of the problem, right?
Oh yeah, and that's in their face every day.
Sure, which is important. And they actively probably want to solve it because they're aware of it, right? They just maybe haven't been exposed to how to do so. Is that about right?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay, so let's give that a check mark. Second piece in the market is they have a major pain or problem that they want solved.
I think that's a big tick.
Yeah, I'd say so. And then third thing is that you plan to dominate that space, because I think it's a lot easier when you can be the authority in the space. And I think obviously you're doing something that very few other people are doing. So we'll put a check on that. So under message, there's 3 things. We have clear, vivid, and empathetic. So these are the 3 activators under message. And honestly, this is probably where most people can start to make things more powerful. So if we look at your opt-in page, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we look at the message here, I just wrote this down, the 4 things to drop your anchor and find your feet. Roughly, that was what you mentioned, right?
Yeah. That's so there's been a few variations of the page, and I've been just gradually getting a little bit more opt-in through tweaking the dial.
Cool. I think the wording is clever, right? But I want to tie in magic to message here because I think they work really closely together here. So under magic, we have a tangible result. So even if it's a free lead magnet, there's got to be a tangible result. It needs to be highly desirable, and there needs to be a big idea. And the big idea is something that is new, different, or polarizing. Something that is going to get them to be like, holy cow, I've never heard of this before.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's the same as everything else. If we look at the opt-in page, so the 4 things to do or to drop your anchor and find your feet, do you find that to be a tangible results and highly desirable?
So it's definitely tangible. It probably could do the I made it tangible. I've said you can get results in 10 minutes. If they look, the subhead says things like that, you can get results in like 10 minutes.
So let me ask in a different way. How do you measure that? How do you measure? So when we say tangible, it's got to be quantifiable. Yeah. And something you can measure. So how can we measure that?
Yeah, that's a good shout. I mean, in essence, the step 1 on this journey with people is kind of getting them to, rather than, lock themselves in a darkened room for 2 weeks feeling totally numb, it's to be out there starting to make the most of the rest of their life and figuring out it's not over. Mm-hmm. So probably painting a picture around that. I mean, I've heard others talk about the idea of landing the plane, don't keep it at 30,000 feet to be really tight. So I like that, Yuri. It's a good point. And I probably don't do that as well as I could.
This is honestly probably one of the biggest opportunities for most businesses where they put something out and they're like, hey, why isn't it working? Well, let's have a look at the offer. Oh, it's improved your wellness. Like, okay, well, what does that mean, right? How do you measure that?
Yeah.
So there's a big difference here between selling people what they want and giving them what they need. Now, in this case, we're not selling anything. We're giving them obviously a free thing, but let's just call it selling for a second. Anytime someone's going to opt in or buy something, that's essentially a sale in some way, shape, or form.
Absolutely.
So they need to buy into, so if we tie this into clear message, right? A tangible results means something they can quantify. They can step on the scale, they can look in the mirror, they can measure it, something. Now, clarity ties in with that because the more tangible the magic is, the more clear the message becomes.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right? So part of the process of marketing is thinking about, I have this outcome. So if you were to, let's think big picture for a second. When clients work with you, what is the outcome that you help them achieve?
If we're talking about the ultimate outcome, the ultimate outcome is that their last months or years of life, they're not in survival mode. They're actually thriving. They're making a difference in the world. They're leaving a tangible legacy for their family. They're leaving peace and joy rather than trauma behind them. Now, I know that's all emotional stuff, and you kind of have to turn that into, well, what does that look like in practice, I guess? Yep.
So it's almost, if I were to sum that up, is making your life post-diagnosis, or do they all know that that they have an expiration date?
Nobody ever knows. That's that problem. And nobody ever knows. You can go to the doctor and say you've got 3 months to live, and 5 years later you're still alive. I mean, it's one of those things that there's a lot of gray edges on that. So that's the thing.
So the idea almost is, something along the lines of like how to make your life even better after diagnosis in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there's lots of components to that. A lot of that is about, you're not arguing with your loved one. You're on the same page as them. Your kids feel supported. There's a whole bunch of stuff around that, around to, not dying in horrible, stressy situations at the hospital when you can have some much better outcome, dying at home, even doing something simple like that.
Sure. So if we looked at the top 3 frustrations or fears that these potential clients are experiencing or worried about, what might those be?
So the biggest frustration or fear really is, holy crap, my life is over. I've got nothing to look forward to. I'm going to spiral down through medical treatment until I die.
So they're going to be dependent upon drugs, medical treatments for their.
And they can't see beyond that. All they can see is this is it. It's all I've got. The second one is going to be like, well, how's my wife, husband, kids going to cope? There's a big one around often finances is another big one. How are we going to pay the bills?
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
So there's the other one that they just go through really is just, and it comes, best way to describe it is you wake up in the morning and suddenly remember, oh shit, this is happening to me. Sorry. You can edit that out.
No, it's all good. It's all good. We curse sometimes on the show.
This is happening to me. And it's anger that they won't get to do what they want to do. It's frustration. It's guilt. They should have done things differently. It's an annoyance that they lived a really good lifestyle and it's still happened. It's this constant roller coaster of emotions that just gets in their way of doing anything.
Okay. What about desires or wants? Like, what are some things? Like, what are some immediate wants or desires that they have?
So again, the biggest usually is, how do I best look after my family in whatever shape or form that is? Might just be a spouse or it might be kids and so forth. That's normally the biggest desire. I mean, the obvious one, which is my daughter's, I want to live. That's the biggest one. But
that's a good one.
Yeah, I want to live. Thank you very much. I don't want to die.
So they're motivated out of their mind to do whatever they have to do. Get on the green juices, infrared saunas, whatever they have to do to.
Yeah, and all the stuff that most of the time won't help them at all, but they'll still do it.
Yep. If we think of, so let's say that they're able to do stuff that allows them to extend their life for another 20 years. What does that look like if they were to? So a want is something that they want relatively immediately. An aspiration is something that's a little longer term.
Good shout. Yeah.
So they want to live. Why? Like, why do they want to live, and what are they going to do with that life now?
Yeah.
And that would be an aspiration. Like, what are maybe one or two things there that we can?
I'll just talk about that a little bit. It's interesting, really, because I think when people are in that situation, they can rarely see beyond the immediate situation. So the survival is top of mind. It's the old kind of chimp lizard brain stuff. It's survival is top of mind. That's really where it's at. There is a huge opportunity here that people tend not to see. A few do. And again, this is the category of need almost, but people don't see it, but it's there, which is for the people who go through it and deal with it well, they suddenly have this very different perspective on life and a very different view as to what's really important. All the sort of annoying crap and trivia really doesn't matter anymore. Really doesn't. And the people that come through that very frequently take their new perspective. Actually, Steve Jobs, I think he quoted this. He said the biggest gift of him being diagnosed with I think it was cancer he had, wasn't it? His biggest gift of that was helping him stop and think what's really important.
Yep. So I just kind of put that down as a sub bullet because it's almost, I don't think people really aspire to want that. They don't.
No, they really don't. It's a sort of side benefit almost. And again, people's individual aspirations are very, very different, really. Again, the aspirations are just, it's your mileage will vary on that. What's the person about? What matters to them? What this will give them, though, is a huge opportunity and perspective to recognize what matters to them that they didn't have before.
Yeah, which is great.
As a coach, normally you have to spend a lot of time teasing out of people.
Yep. So now you tell me what's important to you, right? And
Yeah.
now that you've survived this, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? And now a whole new world of possibilities opens.
Absolutely.
And that's so, and sometimes it's tough for people who haven't experienced that to recognize that. But once they're in it, to be able to see, like, oh man, I've wanted to travel here and I wanted to take care of my family in this way. That becomes interesting when you're thinking of aspirations. And the reason we talk about this is because aspirations is very, very closely tied in with vision, right? So if you have a vision for your life, that's more of an aspiration than here's something I want tomorrow. And I think if you can juggle both of like, okay, listen, like you just got diagnosed, here's how we're going to survive today and tomorrow in the next 30 days. And if all works out well, we're going to give you another 10, 20 years of life. But what are you going to do with those 20 years, right? Imagine being able to do all this stuff that you've put on the back burner for so long to now really live in the life you've always desired. And so when we're talking about messaging, we want to be able to paint a picture where we meet people where they're at, the conversation in their mind. We're able to, again, empathetically understand what they're going through, but then
Yuri, I know this, and this is tricky because I can't say I'm in your shoes. I can do a lot of, I've talked to people who are like this and so forth, and whatever. But the empathy is a tricky balance here.
Sure, but you've worked with clients who've gone through this, right?
Yeah.
And that's all that matters, because it's not that you've gone through this, but you've worked with clients who have, and you felt what they felt to some degree, and you empathize with their situation.
Absolutely.
And that's partly probably why you do what you do. Like, I lost my hair when I was 17 years old, but I ended up helping people lose weight for almost 20 years. And I've never had a weight issue, but I understood the emotion of what it felt like when you don't feel like yourself, right?
Yeah.
And so empathy means you just understand what they're going through and they feel understood by you. Doesn't mean you have to have walked, in their shoes. So if we look at fears, frustrations, wants, and aspirations, this starts to tie into tangible results and something that's highly desirable. I think just that I got emotionally here is that the number one thing you said that people really want is how to best look after their family.
Yeah.
Other than surviving, right?
Other than surviving, which again is largely out of their control.
Yeah. So here is my, and again, it depends on if this is something like, do you feel confident that you can help someone in this first area? Like
Absolutely.
How to best, yeah?
Absolutely, yeah.
Perfect. So based on that, I would change the angle of what I'm offering the markets to what their most desired thing is. So for instance, and honestly, maybe the lead magnet itself is the same and nothing has to change other than the title of it.
Because actually the lead magnet is very much about them, and really it might need to be about others.
Yeah, because we'll always do more for others than we will for ourselves, especially in this situation.
Yeah, because my thinking was, and again, perhaps it's faulty, is that again, this is a need. This is me thinking about their need really, which is they need to do that first.
Exactly.
It's like you've got to put your own oxygen mask on before you can help somebody else.
I know.
But what you really want to do is help.
We coaches are all the same. We're always like, here's what you need to do. Right? But they're like, I don't care. I just want this thing instead.
Yeah.
So like with our clients, we spend a lot of time working on mindset, right? Overcoming self-doubt, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But if I were to sell that on the front end, no one's like, I don't want that stuff. I just want more clients.
I don't want to buy I don't want a mindset coach. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, yeah. I hear you, Yuri. Thank you. That's helpful.
So here's what I would suggest. And obviously the numbers don't lie. It's 5% opt-in, right? So I would suggest creating or tweaking your existing lead magnet to something along the lines of how to best look after your family after diagnosis, right? Or, my wife actually came up with a term a couple of years ago called surviving the bomb, right? Surviving the bomb, which means, okay, the bomb just got dropped. How do you survive it and how do you help your family thrive after you've been diagnosed? And build it around that so that you have a step-by-step guide or a checklist or something that is going to give them, if I'm traveling for a couple months, I'm going to have a checklist of things I need to make sure I check off, right? And maybe that lead magnet is going to address some of those things to help that person take care of their family. And then it just happens that you then segue into, listen, like your family's one thing, but what if you could stay around for longer? What if you could be around longer than maybe the doctors have told you? Well, if that's of interest to you, obviously we can show you how to survive, not just survive this diagnosis and prognosis, but extend it and live a longer life. And if that's of interest to you, then book a call. Let's chat. Let's figure out a game plan. And that's what I would do to initially offer that initial lead magnet, and then segueing people into booking a call with you.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
So what makes the most, what has made the most sense from this conversation for you so far?
I think for me, again, it's, and I'm familiar with a lot of the material you've shared, but again, sometimes you just need someone to challenge you on what the detail is, what it looks like. And I think really by encouraging me to kind of like almost like land the plane on what really matters here. And again, it's about the family. I think you're right. So focusing on that, which is again what they want, and they can see their want top of mind, rather than something I know they need, which I just slap myself every time I do it. Still do it.
It's all good. We learn, right? We
like it.
Fail forward fast, and that's how you get better. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Patrick, has this been helpful?
Yeah, thank you, Yuri. That's great. I'm going to revamp this lead magnet this afternoon, and I'll keep you posted how it goes if you're interested.
Yeah, totally. Keep us posted. Let us know how it goes. And I have a good feeling that's going to convert better than 5%. Cool. Awesome.
Okay.
Well, Patrick, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
Keep us posted inside of the Facebook group. If you're not, I'll send you a link for how you can jump in there. And
I'm pretty sure I'm in it, but I'll check.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks so much for your time, and for everyone listening. Hope you guys have enjoyed this one, and we'll see you in the next episode. Hey, thanks so much for joining us on this episode of the Healthpreneur Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, here's what I'd like you to do right now. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the Healthpreneur Podcast on iTunes. And while you're there, leave us a rating or review. It helps us get in front of more people and change more lives. And if you're ready to start or scale your health or fitness coaching business and want to start getting in front of more people, working with them at a higher level without trading time for money, then I invite you to check out our free 7-figure health business blueprint training, totally free right now. And you can do so at healthpreneurgroup.com/training. For now, thank you so much for joining us. Continue to be great, do great, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.